Hello, Facebook world. I'm so excited to be coming back at you with another live Q&A today. Today we are talking with graduation support team leads in the world of classes and scheduling and curriculum. And so we're going to bring them on in just a second and have them help answer your awesome questions. But in order to get those awesome questions, you have to leave a comment in the comments section. So leave us a comment, give us a question, and we'll ask these GSMs. Now, before we get going, if you've been here before, if you've been to one of our live Q&As, I would like you to mash on that thumbs up emoji as much as possible right now. Go mash it, mash it, mash it. Okay, and if you've never been to one of our live Q&As before, I want you to hit the heart emoji for showing us that you're here for the first time. Hit that heart emoji like 15 times. Show us that you're here and ready to go. Are you excited to be here? Let us know. Heart or like? Give it to us. Okay, so I have, like I said, I have Jennifer Kantak here, and I've got Kenny Sullins here, and they are both graduation support team leads for Epic Charter. They've been here for a while, but rather than me introduce them, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Jennifer, tell us who you are, how long you've been here, and your most exciting part of your job.
Okay, my name's Jennifer Kantak. I'm coming up on 3 years with Epic. I would say that this is what I've wanted to do since I was a kid. I've wanted to work with high school students, work in an advisory setting since I was about 5 years old. So this is everything that I've wanted to do. The most exciting opportunity that I have is working with families and kiddos who have a unique situation where they feel like there really isn't a solution, and just sitting down and finding the best solution that is best for their kid, that works all around, and just really trying to help them feel hopeful and excited. So just really putting hearts at ease, that's a huge, that's the most exciting thing, I think, for me. And just seeing kiddos who have had experiences and seeing them walk across this stage and overcome, that's the most exciting part of my job. So
awesome. I love it. I'm going to give you a bunch of heart emojis right now.
Thank you.
Tell us who you are, how long you've been here, and what do you love most about this job?
As she said, my name is Kenny Sullins. I am coming up on 6 years with Epic in December. My history leading up to this, I worked in a variety of different fields. I've done everything from sales to I was a bouncer for a while. I actually met Ben Harris while I was still in sales with T-Mobile, and he came in one day and eventually offered me a job, and I wasn't sure about it. You know, I was very much in a situation where, like some of our kids are, where they're kind of lost in the system. And I still wasn't 100% certain what I wanted to do. And whenever I started with Epic, it was definitely a new and crazy experience for me. But I am so glad that I have stuck it out. I've never worked for a place that is so forward thinking and willing to adapt to change and not be like, well, we've always done it this way. So everybody here is excellent about that. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of such an amazing organization. It's really great. I love it here.
That is awesome. And I've heard that story before. Yes, I've actually heard that story before. And I love that you customer serviced the mess out of the co-founder so much that he was like, I need you here. So I'm going to give you a bunch of heart emojis also. So we've got quite a list compiled from the lists that come in on the live chat on our epiccharterschools.org webpage. Okay. And so we get people who interact with us on that webpage all the time. And if you've never seen it, go to the webpage. Within a couple of seconds, a live chat will pop up and it'll say, how can I help you today? Anyway, that live chat, we compile some of those questions, and so we've got a few to get the ball rolling here. But like I said, this doesn't happen without your questions, so ask away. The first question I wanted to ask, and Jennifer, I'll go to you with this one. Which of our curriculum options offer the most choice when it comes to electives?
I love this question because we have a lot of kiddos, young adults that come to us. Katie and I primarily work with high school students, so grades 9 through 12. And so we have a few options that we can choose for curriculum and things like that when the parents have made that choice. Play-Doh and Odysseyware, I believe, are going to be the most they're going to be the most fruitful for electives. Play-Doh has a lot of options for like specific areas. So there are great life skills, creative writing. There are options for agriculture and computer technology. There's, psychology, sociology. There's some interesting things. There's one for, I believe, cosmetology. It's an elective course. And so those are going to be the most robust. Play-Doh, I would say, and then Odysseyware most likely.
Awesome.
I love choosing from those because we have a lot of options and we can really look in to see what the kiddo is interested in and what they're really going to get engaged and excited in. So.
Yes, very much so. And I love when kids get really excited about some of their elective options. It's really cool. Yes. Kenny, the next question, I'm going to go to you. What is the graduation checklist, and is it important to follow it as it's lined out initially?
So the graduation checklist is essentially a snapshot for the GSM team to use to show what credits the student has earned versus what credits they still need. And as far as adhering to it, it's more along the lines of making sure that the subject content is handled. So like, a lot of times people want to swap out one class for another. As long as we're swapping out, like for instance, an elective for an elective, it doesn't really impact the grad check any because we just swap the course name on it and that's all well and good. It's whenever we're trying to swap, say, a science class for an elective that we could potentially run into a problem. So when you get that from the GSM, you'll actually see on the Excel grad check, it actually lays out the particular subject category from English, math, science, history, computers, foreign language, additional core, etc. It actually lays out everything for you and shows you really what our game plan is. So if there's ever any kind of kickback, it may just be because some of the future forecasting that we're looking at is that we don't want to run into a situation where a senior has too many core subjects to try to do in their senior year where we make things more difficult on them to graduate. So there is some adherence to it, but there is also some flexibility to it. It really just depends on the exact situation. And like many of our students, the situation is unique enough to where we would probably benefit from having a conversation about what it is that we're swapping. And so everybody's on the same page.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Now it's important, you guys work with 9th through 12th graders, and there's a whole host of people who work with the younger crew also. And so most of the time when we're talking about the courses that are offered, it's for high school kids. We do have some 7th and 8th graders who choose to work up and start getting some of that done earlier. But for the most part, we're talking about high school here, correct?
Okay. Correct.
So the next question, Jennifer, my freshman had his electives chosen for him. When does he get to choose electives? Can we change those out if we want? He isn't planning on going to college, and ACT prep is one of his electives.
I love this question. Yes, that was like a multi-part question, and I'm really glad that you guys asked this. So when I'm first looking at a freshman, like Kenny was saying, we have a game plan when we're looking at all the classes that they have taken or that they are planning to take in order to meet the graduation requirements. I always like to sort of map out a game plan. And earlier on, I like to focus with my freshmen or my sophomores, making sure that we are getting those computer technology or foreign language courses prioritized early on so that we don't have a junior or a senior who has 2 years of foreign language or 2 years of computers that they are feeling crammed in that last year, 2 years. So I really like to prioritize those early on. And so sometimes that can take away from the flexibility of the schedule, or it's not able to free up as much room for electives. We put our students in 6 rigorous courses in the first semester, 6 rigorous courses in the second semester. So when you think about the different subject areas, when we meet our core requirements first, we have, of course, English, science, math, and history. Those are always going to be our first and top priorities. And then the next thing that I look at is, where are they at with foreign language and computer technology? And then at that point, we really only have about 1 credit left, or 1 course each. If you have a kiddo who is not interested in going to college, and they do have one of those ACT prep courses provided by Schmoop that's on their schedule, if they are on the core path, that is something that we can absolutely change. And we're looking at what flexibility we have for any of our other younger classmen, freshman, sophomore year, and seeing if that's something that families can opt out of. I believe that's something that we're going to be looking at, so that they can have more autonomy over those electives. But generally, especially for freshmen and sophomores, I like to have them working on those computer technology, additional core, things like that, so that when they get into their junior and senior year, they have the room and the flexibility really to be focusing on finishing up their core requirements and doing what some people would say a lot more of the fun electives. So internship, work study, Epic News Network. It's a great program that we have for our students. So juniors and seniors, that's generally when I like for them to be able to really get into those electives. But freshmen and sophomores, we want them to be able to have those classes too. And so we're looking at flexibility. And you can always talk to your teacher and have them talk to their graduation support manager and see if there's something that we can do to make it a better fit for your kiddo.
Yes, very much so. And you mentioned Epic News Network. It is a goal of ours to get a kid from every single county taking part in Epic News Network this year. That program has the opportunity to be the largest news media outlet in the state. And we look forward to taking that on and making that a possibility. Let me see here. Darlene wants to know, Darlene wants to know, I want to help. Are you hiring part-time employees right now?
As of right now, I'm not 100% certain if we are, but now that she's asked, I can certainly forward that question over and see if, even if it's just for, record chasing purposes, something like that. I mean, just basically anything that we might need, I will certainly jot that down and take a look.
Awesome. And we do realize that there are some streaming issues going on. When we repost this, it'll be cleaned up a little bit. So hang in there, ask your questions anyway. Let me see here. So I'm not seeing that question. All right. So what are some of the elective options available through internship and work study? You had mentioned internship. What kind of internships do we offer here for credit?
So we have some great opportunities through Nicole Ellison's department. It's called the Next Step Opportunity. I know in the past we've had internship programs through local companies, local programs, and things like that. I'm not 100% sure what's available right now for internships, but I do know that we have. I believe that Epic News Network is one that will qualify as a internship. It's something basically where a student can work. They can work 60 hours. I believe 60 hours equals half a credit. So if you have a kiddo who's working, or if you have a student, young adult who is working, and while they're also going to school, those are things that they can do to earn high school credit that's worth an elective. So those work studies, if you have students who have gone on a mission trip, or they are in a volunteer opportunity through their community center or through their church or something like that, those are great volunteer internship type programs. I know that students can sign up through Epic. They can reach out, and I think we have actual Epic internship programs. I'm not familiar with what's available at the moment, but I do know that we have those.
Yeah, and we've plugged them into some of our high volume areas, which is great. They get some on-the-job experience. And we've talked about it on the podcast before, and previously when Nicole was on the live Q&A with us. Sometimes kids figure out what they want to do in life based on these internships. And a lot of times they figure out what they definitely don't want to do in life based on these internships. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Angie wants to know, and so Kenny, if you'll take this one. Angie wants to know, she says, I know you guys are super busy, but my junior doesn't know what she's taking yet. When can we expect to know class assignments?
That's a very good question. So there's a few determining factors as to how quickly a student can get their schedule. One is the date that their ILP was completed, because we can't physically put a student in a schedule until we know what their curriculum is. But then also, if they are a new incoming student, then we may just not have records yet. That's really kind of been our bottleneck this year. So we've been working on that to try and get that handled as quickly as we can. But one of the main things that we're looking at is trying to get as many of those kids scheduled as we possibly can. The GSM team is working weekends and things like that to try to make sure everybody gets set up. But the sooner that we get records, the sooner it makes it possible to get that schedule set in place. Other than that, the only other thing that might slow us down is if there's something that might need to be purchased from the Learning Fund, like if they want to take a foreign language, they need to get that Middlebury approval done, so that way we can put them in Spanish. But for the most part, it's just incoming records this time of year. Due to COVID, a lot of schools were not actually there during the summer where they normally would be. So we had a long period that it was a really slow drip for records. And then basically starting in August, just all of a sudden it just dumped on, and we had a fair bit of records coming in, and it's still doing that. But right now we have quite a few kids that have schedules. It's just kind of a matter of getting to it. But if you have that, definitely send it into your GSM, because that just helps us to get the schedule that much faster.
Well, and
I'd like to share
Angie,
something if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. I'd love to share something that I ran this morning that I think would help to put some hearts at ease, but also to see sort of the magnitude of what we're looking at. So as of this morning, we have 17,953 high school students who are enrolled. And as of this morning, we have completed around 14,000. And so we are waiting still on some ILPs to be completed, and to get some records coming in. I think we have close to 800 students that we are chasing records on. We've established that we don't have a transcript on file for them, so we're calling schools. And so one thing as the family, if you have a copy of your transcript and you want to email that in to fax@epiccharterschools.org, that's one thing that can help us. And then, of course, just communicating with your teacher. And we have, like I said, we have scheduled and we've completed about 14,000 students. And we are working around the clock. Kenny and I are slinging schedules. We're getting, we've had kids on our rosters too. We're helping out. It's all hands on deck. And so if there is a fear, please rest assured we are looking every single day. I'm running these reports multiple times a day. We both are. And so your kiddos will not slip through the cracks. We are making sure that we are getting to those, but I believe we will be able to hit around 94% of those students scheduled by the first day of school. Between 93 and 94%, believe we're going to be able to hit that. So it may be a day or two after for a few of those students, but we are not going to stop until every kid has a schedule. So.
Absolutely. And that's such a good point. And you brought up something, actually, I wrote it down so that I could remember to say it. While we might be waiting on schedules to be built and curriculum to be loaded, the teachers are there to provide assignments. English 11 is something every junior will have to take. And so we can go ahead and get started on some of those English 11 requirements with or without curriculum, with or without a schedule, and then catch up those other classes because he'll be ahead in the English department. So, there are workarounds for everything. Just work with your teacher to make sure, you've got that information and that you're able to get through some of that. There are a couple of things that are happening these days. The live Q&As are one of them, and we've had huge response with this. I mean, we get about 2.5 thousand views every single episode, and the questions come all week long. So if you've got questions, even with the spotty internet that we may be experiencing, enter those questions in. Myself, Jennifer, Kenny, we will be answering these questions all week long. There is a podcast, an epic podcast called When the Wind Blows. You can listen to that on Spotify. You can listen to it on Amazon Music now and your Apple podcasting, as well as through the app Podbean. The When the Wind Blows podcast comes out every Monday, and it's on a very specific topic that relates to our families and teachers and administrators and really anyone who wants to know anything about the world of education. So there are plenty of places to keep checking in. And Nicole Ellison was just on the newest episode, which will come out on Monday, and she's talking about a lot of these opportunities that you guys are talking about as well. So if you have inklings of wanting to know more about anything, let us know through these comments and we'll get them back to you. Kenny, can you talk to me about the process for concurrent enrollment? I know that is something that you guys deal with. You handle the paperwork that comes in. What is getting involved in concurrent enrollment look like for students?
Well, one of the best pieces of advice that I can give about concurrent enrollment is future planning. And part of what Jennifer talked about earlier, as far as some of the subjects that we give in the freshman and sophomore school years, kind of builds the foundation for what the kids have. So if we get through computers and foreign language credit requirement, that opens up the door a little bit more for the junior and senior year to be able to take more concurrent enrollment classes. So the first thing I would say is to kind of plan it out and see where you might want to attend. If your student's only a freshman, it doesn't hurt to start checking around and see, okay, if you're in the metro area, maybe go to OSU OKC or OCCC or anything like that. So that is certainly something to look into, and finding out what their requirements are. That way you can help us plan with you in order to get that student set up in a concurrent enrollment schedule that benefits them. So one of the main perks to concurrent enrollment is that they earn both high school and college credit at the same time. And the beautiful thing is that those classes are weighted on a 5.0 GPA scale rather than the typical 4.0 GPA scale. So we get a really good set of classes that the student can take, from anything from Comp 1 to U.S. history to college biology, college algebra. Some of those classes actually count for a full year of credit for just one semester of instruction on a college level. So there's a lot of different benefits that could come into play, and working that out earlier is just that much better for us and for your student. That way everybody knows what to expect. Now, the other part of it is that we do actually have our own concurrent enrollment classes that we offer through EPIC that are actually through TEL. They are accredited through Oklahoma Christian University, so they are recognized nationally. There's no issue with those credits transferring to another college. And the best part is that if your student is a junior or senior with EPIC and has a 3.0 GPA or higher, they qualify for one free class each school year. For juniors, it's the Intro to Communication course that counts as an elective credit. And then for seniors, they actually get a choice of any one single class that they want to do. And then anything else beyond that, you can actually purchase those out of your learning fund for only $75. So it's a steal of a deal when it comes to concurrent enrollment. As we all know, that is seriously expensive. And sorry, let me correct that. It's Intro to Psychology for juniors, not Intro to Communication. We changed that. But it is a very good advantage for them to have that as a fallback. And there also is the option for them to do just the standard concurrent enrollment through a local college. So the earlier that you plan that, the better, and we can certainly help out with that as much as we can. And so we're the ones who would actually fill out the forms to help that and actually get them enrolled. So anything that you can provide us in advance, whether it's even if they're a freshman and say they want to do concurrent, that helps for sure.
Yes. I
Awesome.
would strongly encourage families to, I'm so sorry I jumped in. I would strongly encourage families to have that form, reach out to us ahead of time, have that form signed by your graduation support manager before you go up to the school, because the first thing they're going to do is tell you, I'm sorry, we need a transcript, possible ACT scores, and we're going to need this signed by the school, either by a principal or a counselor. And so I would encourage you to have that lined up before you go up to the school, because it will be very, very stressful for parents. We've gotten a lot of families who come in and it's new to them. And they're excited and it's new, but it's one of those things that will save you a lot of time and stress and worry if you contact us, even if it's just a day or two before, just to let us know you're going up there so we can get that form signed out, filled out, and then that way you can walk into the school, that way you can walk into that admissions office prepared and you're not feeling stressed or worried. So.
Excellent. And Carla, I see your comment down there. Just so you know, we really wish you could still play sports and be with Epic as well, or Ag. For what it's worth, this is a battleground we look at getting into someday, but it's just not on the horizon for this year. However, if you listen to the Epic education policy episode on the podcast, you'll hear Todd Thompson on there. He was a legislator at the Capitol a couple of years ago, and he talks about how a lot of times, and he was with FCA, so he was really close to all those athletes, but he talks about how a lot of times right now, a lot of the scouts are looking at club sports and not necessarily high school sports all the time. You've got a lot of great NBA and NFL players that are coming out of club leagues, not out of their high school leagues. And while it is still super easy to get those recognition through the local high school, it's not the only place to go anymore. Kenny and Jennifer, I want to honor your time. I know you've got 3,000 high schoolers still left to get to, so I'm going to let you guys get back to it. We will have another live Q&A this coming Wednesday. Don't tune in Monday. It's a holiday weekend, but come back on Wednesday. Ask your questions. We want to be here for you, and we want to just fill you in on as much as we can, as much of the questions that you have. So until then, thank you for making Epic a top place to work and to learn.